Alright, it will be time to take a look at the third vehicle of the Type 692G platoon, and that would be the PTZ89. Now, this is probably the superstar of the platoon. It has a 120mm main cannon, has the best penetration of all the 4 vehicles that we have in this platoon, average of 442mm. The armor is also as we have already seen here on the stats. It's pretty paper. Any high explosive shell, artillery, rocket, bomb, ATGM will pretty much pop this vehicle. However, it doesn't have that bad of a maneuverability. It's fairly speedy, I would say. Unfortunately, the reverse speed is equally as bad as on the WMA 301. But this is meant to be used as a tank destroyer, a background vehicle, a sniper. It has a 5-second reload, has a very interesting autoloader because the shells are already prepared at the back of the turret of the vehicle, which is one thing I really like about this little vehicle. It has a very rapid rate of fire, which makes it quite lethal in combat. I would say the firepower on this thing is surprisingly good, and that's why I'm saying that this is the superstar of the whole platoon, because of the fast reload. Only 1 second slower than the ASTRV 103C, which is currently the fastest reloading vehicle in the game. I mean, I think there's one other vehicle that has a reload of 4.5 or 5 seconds, but this is probably the second fastest reloading main cannon in the game. At the second or third, the first one definitely goes to the STRV. Now, when it comes to the ammo choices, you have a PFSDS and you have high explosive. You only have 2 options with this vehicle, and honestly, you don't really need more. Surprisingly good ammo, good penetration, decent damage. I mean, it is a PFSDS ammo at the end of the day, so it will behave like any PFSDS shell. If you already are familiar with those shells, you will pretty much enjoy using this vehicle quite a bit. Now, when you run out of shells in the turret, it takes quite a while for it to be reloaded, so you need to make every shell count, or you need to be close to a base in order to reload. So far, from my experience, I haven't really encountered that problem, and to be honest, I didn't have spectacular battles with this vehicle. As I would say, this platoon feels average. It's not bad, but at the same time, I would say it's probably not the best premium platoon that we had so far. However, if you do like the platoon and if you do like the vehicle, I mean, I'm not going to stop anyone from buying or from not buying the vehicle. My job here is to show you how the vehicle works, how it plays, and my job is to pretty much play the tanks to show you guys how they work. I think the Object 775 is probably my favorite paid platoon, or should I say premium platoon, in the game. I had a lot of fun with that thing. I still drive that thing almost every day. The Object 775. I actually like the Object more than the Merkava Mark IIB. I don't know why. I just prefer the Object a lot more. I find that thing a lot more fun than the Merkava. Even though I would say, if I were to put a list of all the premium vehicles, and if I put the Merkava Mark IIB, everyone will take the Merkava Mark IIB. Understandable, but in my case, I will probably pick the Object 775. I just like that vehicle a lot more. I enjoy that thing a lot. Autoloader with ATGMs, just a dream come true, basically. Pancake tank. But let's go back to this thing. Now, the turret rotation speed is, well, slow. It's slow, it's not bad, but at the same time it's not fast, so it's somewhere in the middle. Which I would say is still usable. It's better than the ZTZ89D, for example, which takes half a century to rotate the turret on that thing. But overall, I would say I would take the PLZ 83 130 over this vehicle. I actually prefer the PLZ a lot more over all of these vehicles because of the 130mm main cannon, and that's a good boomstick. That's a very good boomstick on that thing. But yeah, easily able to punch through the armor of pretty much all the tanks that you will meet in tier 8, tier 9. After, you have to remember that this is a tier 8 vehicle. Honestly, if I were to put vehicles on a... Oh, that's a revenge bomb. That's close, that was close. If I were to put a vehicle on a scale of balance, I guess, this platoon kind of feels probably most balanced in recent days. Because the vehicles don't feel broken, the vehicles don't feel like... It doesn't feel like, you know, you are driving something that no one can defeat. Which is something that a lot of players feel when they drive Merkava Mark IIb, for example. Even though the Merkava Mark IIb is pretty easy to destroy, but that thing, just when players see the Merkava, for some reason they always mess up. I can't really describe if it's panic or something. I think the fact that that vehicle is a premium, it kind of plays a you know, psychological thing, and it kind of makes the player make a mistake. I know that from my personal experience. When Merkava Mark I was released, we all kind of struggled with it. But once I start to look at it like any other vehicle, I started to pretty much have zero issues with any Merkava. Merkava Mark I, Mark II, Mark IIb, doesn't matter. They all pretty much get blown up the same way, so that's not a big problem. Too much of a problem. Well, that was a good hit with the rockets, and well, that's the first battle. Not the best, but at the same time not the worst. Somewhere in the middle. Pretty average battle, I would say. But yeah, you can definitely get a good score with this vehicle. That's obviously not going to be a problem. Let's go to the next battle. Now, this vehicle is a pretty good sniping vehicle, pretty good sniper. As I mentioned before, they have no armor. You have to rely on stealth. You have to rely on cover, rocks, buildings, rubble, and stuff like that. The gun depression on this vehicle, I think it's about the same as the gun depression on the previous vehicle that I was playing. It doesn't feel like it's there, although I would say the gun depression feels a little bit better. But I don't think that this can do well in a hold down position, fortunately. I wouldn't be going in a hold down position with this vehicle. Because again, I don't trust the gun depression on this platoon. It just doesn't feel... It doesn't feel good. It's not the worst though, that's the thing, but it's not the best at the same time. And yeah, as I mentioned in the last video, the new device has literally, like, I'm impressed by the FPS. That's the only thing I'll say. This is some ridiculous FPS, and this is not even using full capacity, by the way. This is 40 to 50% of this GPU's full capacity, and it delivers 120 FPS. So technically I could get more if I could uncap FPS. I think I would hit like 300, 400 FPS with this thing on this game, on maximum settings on this game, which is insane. This is a very fast chip. It is so fast. I did not expect this difference. Okay, it blew me away when I booted this up. I expected like 10, 20 more FPS, but I'm not looking at 10, 20 more FPS. I'm looking at doubling or maybe tripling the FPS of what I would get if I had uncapped FPS, without even using full capacity. So yeah, this is a good purchase for sure. This thing will last me for a couple of years. That's a fact. This thing will last me for a very long time, based on the current frame rate that I see. I love the reload on this thing. It's so fast. I think this is probably the best vehicle of this platoon, just because of that reload. Although he has no armor, so I would say some of the previous platoons, if you prefer more armored vehicles, then some of the previous platoons definitely were the better choice. And if you decide to skip on this platoon, that's completely understandable. My personal and honest opinion on this platoon, it's definitely not bad. It has some very interesting vehicles. However, the vehicles do feel a little bit average. My experience with the vehicles was average. They do have, I guess, a unique design, and overall they are unique vehicles, but from my perspective, and it could be because I played like 100 tanks by now, I played everything that the game has to offer. It could be the case that I'm just used to unique vehicles that look different. And honestly, if that's the case, then that's fine. I mean, if you find these vehicles fun, go for it. But the whole platoon, to me at least, feels average. I'll do well with the platoon. I'll do well with most of the platoons that the game has to offer. I mean, premium, non-premium, rare platoon, rare vehicle, rare tank, rare aircraft, normal aircraft, doesn't matter to me. I will do equally well in all of them. Sure, there are some tanks that I play better than other tanks. I mean, as I mentioned before, I am not that good with wheeled vehicles. Those wheeled vehicles always have been a problem for me, at least, mostly for the controls, because they do have a different control from the normal tanks. And maybe the autocannon vehicles, well, some of them, not all of them, but for the most part I also struggle with those vehicles. But we are nearing the end of this video. 7 destroyed vehicles, well, 3rd or 2nd place. This is pretty much what you can expect from this particular vehicle. A very good, I would say very good gun. The main cannon is definitely interesting. No armor, and in general the vehicle's maneuverability is not bad. It's about, I would say, average compared to the other vehicles, but no armor, very powerful gun, very good reloads, and that's pretty much how I would describe this vehicle. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe, and with that being said, stay safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.